Hello, and welcome to a new episode from Ramblings from Two Meddling Kids. I'm Edward Hunt, joined by my colleague,
Mike Cunningham.
and we are the Meddling Kids. Thanks so much for listening. If you were just joining us for the first time, we enjoy reviewing movies, and today we're going to be doing the classic, the impeccable, The Mummy. So how we like to do these is we'll give a spoiler-free review first. So if you have not seen this movie, do not fret. We won't spoil anything yet. We're going to just give a spoiler-free review, talk about our original thoughts on it, maybe highlight a few things, but again, nothing plot-related. Then, if you listen to us and you think, hey, I do want to watch this, pause, go watch the movie, then just make sure you come back afterwards for our play-by-play, where we talk through the entire plot and then have a little comments and asides from that as well. So, Mike, you ready to get started?
I am.
Spoiler-free review, go for it.
Okay, so like you said, Mummy is a classic. I mean, it's not the first Mummy movie, but
no, not at all. But
obviously, starring like Brendan Fraser.
Rachel Weisz.
Yeah, that's
Rachel Weisz. Yeah.
I don't know, yeah, it is like watching this one again. I haven't watched it in a few years, so
Okay.
it's just like going back to it was like so much fun. It's just fun.
Yes,
I think that's what it is.
Yeah.
It was like they play well with play off each other very well, and it's just a lot of fun, really. I guess I'm tired. I don't have anything bad to say about it.
Yeah.
And then obviously we'll go through it.
what would you give it? 0 to 5?
4.
4. Nice.
Yeah. It still holds. I made comments about the CGI, but come on. It's the time.
99. Like, what are you gonna do? Yeah.
But yeah, it was just like the story like plays out very well. It doesn't linger too long. It's like a 2-hour movie, but it doesn't seem like that.
Not at all. It's action packed.
The action is great. The settings are amazing. I don't think they were in Egypt. Maybe they were, maybe they weren't. But it was like it looks amazing. But yeah, so solid 4.
4. Nice. I can agree with that. I love The Mummy. So background, I have seen The Mummy probably a billion times now. Here, no exaggeration. I don't really use hyperbole, but I've seen The Mummy a ton. I love The Mummy. My wife and I, we watch The Mummy together, especially if we're like, a nice casual Friday in, order some takeout, we'll watch The Mummy. So it is with that in mind, I'm going to give this thing a 5. All right. I recognize I am so biased. I am so biased, and I know there are flaws in this
if you've
movie.
seen it that many times, it's for a reason.
Yeah, exactly. I love this movie. There's horror, there's comedy, there's action, there's romance. Spoiler, I guess, the good guys win at the end. Like
which is the first time on film ever.
Yeah, right.
Really groundbreaking.
But it is just such a fun, repeat what Mike said, a fun movie that just from start to finish keeps you entertained. There's some history, there's some mythology, there's a big baddie, there's like attractive lead actors, there's a lot of chemistry on scene. Love the movie, love it. I'm gonna give it a 5 out of 5 because it's just so near and dear to my heart. Before we get started with our play-by-play and a little more background on the movie, quick word from our sponsors. Just Be, or me. I'm a real estate agent here in the DMV. My team is the Just Be team. We are all about finding where you're meant to be. So if you would like any advice or a consultation on anything home related, please feel free to reach out to us at any time. I'll give my at the end, or you can also reach out to the Two Meddling Kids. If you're thinking home improvement projects, we have a ton of great contractors. If you're thinking refinancing, getting a HELOC, I have connections with great lenders. If you're thinking of buying or selling a home or what you should do for it, I can also give advice with that. So again, Just Be here at Compass. And even if you aren't in the DMV and you're anywhere else in the country, that is totally fine. Compass is a nationwide brokerage, and we have phenomenal agents no matter where you go. So we can connect you that way too. All right, Mike, ready to get started?
Yes, I am.
All right, give us some background on this thing.
All right, so The Mummy released in 1999. Actually, it released on May 7th, 1999.
Okay.
Runs for about 2 hours and 4 minutes, but like we said, it doesn't really feel like that. We're kind of fast paced. The budget was $80 million.
Okay.
It made in the US 155.
Nice.
Globally, it made 416 million.
Okay.
So a big
especially
hit.
for the 90s.
Yeah, big hit.
Yeah.
The Rotten Tomatoes is interesting. So it's like 61 critics and 75 audience.
Really?
So it's not terrible, but I thought it might be higher.
I mean, it should be higher.
Especially with how you feel.
Yeah, that's how I feel about it. That's a travesty. All right, those critics need to get their eyes checked.
They do. I don't understand. It's the best one.
Are we? Not
it was diminishing returns from that.
Yeah.
So the genre is action, adventure, fantasy.
Yep, makes sense.
Definitely hits all those things. You said horror. I wouldn't say. I guess there were moments, especially during when he was an actual mummy.
Yeah, when he's an actual mummy, there's a few jump scares, not a ton,
but it wasn't horror because I don't like horror. Yeah, and I was like a little bit worried. I was like, this is Scooby Doo horror. It's something.
Exactly. It's something like I watched when I was a kid. Like a kid can watch this and not be totally terrified. Maybe a little terrified. My eyes. That's pretty scary. That's pretty scary. I'm not gonna lie. That's pretty scary.
So directed by Stephen Sommers, who we talked about this earlier. He directed apparently Catch Me If You Can,
and wrote Catch Me If You Can.
Van Helsing, which I enjoy, but I feel like that's another maybe a cult classic.
It's been a while.
The Jungle Book. G.I. Joe, I think Rise of Cobra,
pretty sure,
and then a bunch of these the sequels to
the Scorpion King sequels. Yeah, people like directed a few, but he's like been the executive producer on like all of them. And he's like he believes in this franchise. All right, he's like yes, it can have my money. I think it'll do well. Yeah, because apparently there's like 7 Scorpion King
there's a bunch
that went straight to video. So I have not seen any of those.
So like we said, starring Brendan Fraser, and we were talking about this I think maybe on Friday or a few days ago about how like. You get introduced to Brendan Fraser and Encino Man and stuff like that, but this to me was his like jump into like that adult like starring role, like the leading man type of thing.
He's no longer a caveman. That makes sense.
Rachel Weisz plays Evelyn or Evie.
Yep.
You have Jonathan Hanna plays her brother Jonathan. John Hann.
Yeah,
Hanna
plays Jonathan.
And Arnold Vosloo.
I think Vosloo
is Imhotep. And everybody, I don't know too many.
Imhotep.
It's in the clothes. The tagline for the movie was "The sand will rise, the heavens will part, the power will be unleashed."
Nice. And that all of that happens. Sands rose.
They did.
Heavens parted a little bit, and then power was unleashed. So for sure.
Yeah, that's most of the background I have. We can
Let's get started. Yeah, absolutely. So. Does this movie open up in modern day, or what happens when we start this movie? Where are we? Go on.
It opens up in ancient Egypt.
Ancient Egypt.
I was talking about the CGI. I was just like, oh, that is sharp.
It's not that bad.
But you open up on ancient Egypt. I think there's like pyramids and stuff like that. You see,
again, being ancient Egypt, that would make sense.
I mean,
after the pyramids,
spot on.
So not super ancient Egypt, but ancient Egypt.
And there's like narration about this time. So it talked about how Imhotep was, I think, the second.
He was the high priest.
Priest to the pharaoh.
Yeah,
and you see that he is having, I guess, an affair with one of the
Anaxunamun.
Yes, the high priest. The pharaoh's mistress.
Yes, like the main pharaoh mistress. Because he's a pharaoh, so he's got a few mistresses.
I mean, as one does.
Mistress. Yes.
So you see him and her in a room, and it's being kind of guarded by I guess his men or whatever.
Yeah, he has his priests come in. We're all painted gold for some reason.
So everybody's painted gold. It was just so they're having I guess a tryst or something like that, and then it gets interrupted by the pharaoh.
Yep.
And so he sees her, and he sees that. Because she's all painted in gold, there's a mark on her.
Yeah, there's smear on her. So because her shoulders have I guess still wet ink. So they've never realized this before. Maybe she never wore the ink before this moment. I don't know. But then of course, what does Imhotep do? He just smears the crap out of her shoulder. So he's like, someone touched you. Yeah. Ingenious way to make sure your partner's not cheating, I suppose.
And so he realized that she's been unfaithful, but she's also
who has touched you? Only he can touch her. He's the pharaoh.
And so Imhotep comes out, reveals that it's him, and they just murder.
Just stab.
They murder the pharaoh.
Murder the crap out of the pharaoh.
And then I think the pharaoh's guards break in.
Yeah, the guards basically immediately know, and we kind of find out why later in the next movie. Mummy Returns, you find out why they were there so fast. But that was quick response time. It was literally 5 seconds from stabbing. They're like, crap, they bust in there,
and so Anaxunamun gets murdered.
She kills herself.
She kills herself. Okay.
Yeah, because it's so she tells Imhotep, she's like, all right, run away, get out of here. Only you can bring me back from the dead.
Got it.
She looks at the guards and she's like, he'll have me no more. And then she stabs herself and dies because I guess in ancient Egypt you can bring people back.
Yeah. So like you said, she knows that he's the only person that can bring her back. So he does a ritual to try to bring her back, but it gets interrupted
by the guards.
And they take him and they I guess mummify. Put him through the fate worse than death.
They mummify all of his people alive.
Yes.
So they're cutting out their tongues.
Your boys,
everybody. They're cutting out their tongues. Going up with a hook in their brain, scrambling, yanking it out in the nose, because that's what Evie tells us how mummification works. But for Imhotep, it's a fate worse than death. They do all of this, but it's the Hamun Rai. Yeah, which is they dump all those flesh-eating bugs on him. Yep. And
it was he was also alive for all of it. I think usually, obviously, you mummify someone after they pass, but they wrapped him up, did all these things while he was still alive. Then I think it was also they don't do this thing because there's a curse upon it. It was so if he's ever to.
Just so dumb that they did this. They're like, what do we need to do? We're gonna mess with this guy, but if he ever comes back, we're screwed. Is it worth it?
It's let's feature us as
problem. Exactly. It's my great grandkid's problem. I don't care about this.
But it was just that was the thing. It was just if he ever comes back, he'll bring about plagues and all that.
He'll have superpowers. I'm like, why would you ever give someone this? He could.
Hindsight, So Imhotep has been mummified. He's put in a sarcophagus. That's what it is. I know.
And there's that big voiceover episode, and he will rise and be stronger than ever and destroy the world. And then cuts to modern day.
So 3,000 years later, in modern times, 1990.
I guess we're technically 1920. Yeah, the movie's set in 1920s.
Oh, you're right. Sorry,
the movie's set in 1920s. Yeah.
So 3,000 years later, you have there's a raid. So Rick O'Connell, our main character, and his men are fighting off.
They're part of the French Legion, and then they're doing colonizer stuff, and they're like, "Ooh, we like this stuff over here. We're going to fight to the death with indigenous people."
And so there's the guy who was narrating, is also a part of a guard who makes sure that Imhotep will never rise again. And so they're trying to get these people off this sacred land.
Yeah. Well, I think it's not them that did it. It's a different group, I think. Okay. I think the French Foreign Legion.
I just know they were watching.
Yeah, they were watching. Yeah. So the French Foreign Legion, Rick O'Connell, he's American, but he's with the French for this. They're fighting another group over, I'm blanking on the name right now, the City of Gold.
Okay. Amun Ra.
Amun Ra, yeah. So they're fighting.
Is it Hamunaptra?
Yeah, Hamunaptra. Thank you. Yeah, Hamunaptra. So they're fighting over Hamunaptra, and yes, the guy doing the voiceover and the guard, they're just watching it. And they're going to clean up whoever.
Okay.
From it.
That makes sense.
Which also, great. So you have this crazy stuff with mythology. Then you open up with the war going on, and that was a pretty cool battle scene too. You have people chucking daggers and stuff. It's pretty. Anyway.
Yeah, so you meet Rick and Benny. Benny. So Benny, and you learn this later.
Sucks.
He's the person that he'll take you to Hamunaptra. It's this a famed city. Nobody can find it unless you're from there. So Benny has basically a business where he takes tourists to.
Well, that was later, but I think they were.
I feel like he. Well, maybe. But anyway, so you meet Rick and Benny, and they're getting overtaken by the invaders or whatever it is.
Yeah.
And Benny leaves O'Connell to
bails on him so fast. Yeah.
And it was this is where you get the first scenes. It was just it's only Rick is left, and they were. I think they were going to either capture him or kill him. Yeah. And then they kind of get scared away.
Yeah, they get spooked because so big thing. He's fighting off, and they get spooked because in Hamunaptra is where Imhotep is buried, or but still in a state of undeath. Yeah. So they know
that this is sacred.
Yeah, and so they bail and run, and Rick's like, I thought I was going to die. What the hell? And then from the sand, Imhotep's face just and I'm like, what? And then
So he gets captured. Eventually Rick gets captured. They kind of let him go because he's off the land. It was he's in the desert. How far can he go?
And apparently very far. Apparently very far because he's fine.
And then we meet Evie in the library.
Yep.
And I don't know what her actual job is.
She's a librarian.
There we go.
Yeah, she's a librarian and a total klutz, and she just likes to knock over bookshelves and many things.
But her brother Jonathan is he's found this this trinket. He's taken it from someone. He found it off of someone.
Yeah.
And Evie, being the librarian, very knowledgeable about different artifacts.
Yeah. She's trying to be an Egyptologist, but she keeps failing her PhD application or something.
And so she finds this trinket, and Jonathan brings it to her, and she finds a way to open it, and they find a map.
Right?
To Hamunaptra. And so she takes it to her her boss or whatever, and they give I guess he's not trying to like have her do anything with her, right?
Yeah, he says, Hamanoptera is weird. He's like, this place is ridiculous. People have lost their lives going there. What? Let me see that map. And then he lights it on fire.
Yeah.
And then he like burns it.
And so obviously Evie's like trying to find Hamanoptera. So they go, Jonathan took it off someone.
Yeah, he stole it from somebody.
Yeah. So he's like, we don't have the map, but I can find a guy who knows. So that's when we meet Rick again. And he's in prison.
Yep. And he's had a rough time. All right, he's got big bushy beard, long hair.
Is hair long? Yeah. So it's been a minute.
It's been a minute, yeah.
So yeah, he's about to be hanged. And so like Evie and Jonathan are trying to negotiate his release because he knows the way to Hamanoptera. So like they negotiate with the prison like manager or like the warden. Sorry, the warden. Yeah. That if you release him, we'll give you X amount of whatever we find.
Which is such a ridiculous way of negotiating back and forth. They're like, he tries. She's like, he wants 50%. She's like 20, blah blah blah. And then he's like, she says 30. He says 25. And he's like, I said it, so that means I must abide by my word.
We're just saying numbers.
Yeah. Fun fact, actually, I haven't completely verified this, but Felicia, my wife, told me when the hanging happened, it actually malfunctioned a bit.
Yeah, that's I have it. That was a trivia I had. So it was like he actually almost Brendan Fraser almost died.
Yeah, he was actually getting hung for a while. Yeah,
and it's also interesting too. Is like this series, The Mummy, is why kind of Brendan Fraser stopped acting. Yeah, I think maybe The Mummy Returns or whatever it is, but it was like. I think he truly hurt himself.
Yeah, he got really beat up from doing these movies. So there was like that. Then obviously there was what happened to him in Hollywood with the executive producers, which was awful. So a combination of both of those things, he definitely had to take a step back out of the spotlight and heal from everything, for sure.
But yeah, so they negotiate Rick's release as he's being hung.
Yeah.
And so like he gets a haircut and they go to set sail.
And then you have that first look of Evie's like, oh wow, this guy's kind of dreamy. Interesting.
It's sowing the seeds of this future romance. And so like they set sail with so it's Evie, Jonathan, Rick, and the warden guy. The warden guy for some reason.
I don't remember his name. Yeah.
And they get on a boat, and we also meet another group
of Americans.
So it's like 3 Americans and a professor of some sort.
Yeah. Oh, so with all this too, so Evie and Jonathan are English, so they're like high class, we're English people. Yeah. Rick's American technically, but he's been living over here for years, and he was part of the French Foreign Legion. And then we meet the other Americans who are all cowboys. Yeah, which is great. You know what I mean?
And then it was like these Americans are being led by Benny, so we meet Benny again. And that's what I was saying. I thought maybe this was just what he did.
I think that's what he was doing later. I think at first they truly were in like the French Foreign Legion together, and then like war buddies, and then war buddies. If you can call them war buddies. Yeah.
So so we meet everybody's on this boat heading to Egypt to find Hamanoptera.
Yeah.
And while they're on the boat,
the guard attacks.
Like the people that were watching out, because now they know. Yeah, they're always aware of who's trying to come to Hamanoptera. Yeah. So like they attack because they know. I think she has the trinket.
Yeah, she has the key, which is the key to open.
And so it's like, people are really close now.
Yes,
right.
Yeah. So they know.
They don't have the map, but they have this key, which can open the book or whatever. So it's just like they attack the ship trying to get the key or whatever. And you have that interaction with Rick and Benny.
Rick just chucks him off the boat. He's like, say bye-bye, Benny. And he just chucks him off the boat before any of this goes down. And then just great action sequence. A lot of fun. Like, people are firing everywhere.
So you have the guards kind of attacking, trying to get the key. So suddenly the boat's on fire, so like they need to abandon ship.
Yeah.
And so like everybody's jumping off. And so you have now the groups are separated on the different banks of the river.
Hey O'Connell, we have the horses. Hey Benny, looks like you're on the wrong side of the river. I've only seen this movie once or twice. This is crazy.
Spot on. So it's like the group is separated. You have Rick and his group on one side of the bank, and Benny and the Americans on the other side. The Americans have all the horses and the supplies, but they're on the wrong side.
Yep, exactly.
So I think the next morning, Rick and his team find some village or something like that. They get new clothes, they get camels.
Yep. And now this is when Rick sees that Evie's pretty smoking hot too. She comes out in her outfit with like the green eyes going. That's pretty. There's some attractive lead stars. I'm just throwing that out there.
So now, like, they're heading to Hamanoptera, right? And it was just like, it's a kind of a race.
Yeah.
This one is
Wait, so they both get there at the same time?
Yeah.
And so then they have a little friendly competition. Like, whoever gets there first gets
like
to choose where to
$500
dig.
or something?
Was it $500?
Yeah, I think so.
Maybe like $500, or they get to choose where they get to dig first. So then they go for it. So again, action, funny, action.
Yeah.
It's like just bang, bang, bang. That's what it feels. It
so
goes
like,
by
they both groups race to Hamanoptera, and then you get another exchange between Rick and Benny.
Yeah, Benny's just a dick.
Just tosses him off his horse.
Because Benny's like hitting Rick, and Rick just chucks him off. Then Evie takes over, and she wins the race for everybody.
Yeah, so both groups are on the site of Hamanoptera. They start digging. It was very interesting. The professor that's leading the Americans goes, because they both want to dig in the same spot, but like cooler heads,
cooler heads prevail.
So it's like, all right, we'll go dig somewhere else.
Yeah.
And the professor from the American side goes, well, she's a woman. What does she know?
Yeah, she knows a lot, darn it.
Exactly. So like they're both, so I think the Americans find that, I don't know where they're at, but they find like
they're in one area of the tomb where and they find there's the pressurized salt acid. Yeah,
it was like the booby traps,
Yeah.
which I think what is it, Indiana Jones? Like so many movies like this, it's just like, do not go in like fucking tombs, like.
Yeah. Oh, and dude, I mean, the Americans Egypt guy, he's a dick. He's like, let the diggers open, knowing full well there's probably some kind of booby trap. And he's like, let's let them.
So they find like, well, they get hit with the booby traps, but they find like a chest of like different things, and then Rick, Evie, and Jonathan, and the guard or whatever, sorry, the warden, they find Imhotep's. Sarcophagus.
Yes. Well, before is the warden there when they find it? Because the warden also, this is when he finds the bugs too, right?
Yeah. So I think it was. He's off to the side.
Yeah. So the Americans found a box that had the jars in it. Right?
The
jars and the Book of the Dead. So they found the Book of the Dead and then these the 4 jars that were like organs and of Imhotep. So they found that stuff. Then Evie, Rick, and Jonathan, they actually find Imhotep. And then the warden guy, while that was going on, he was like messing around with these scarabs, which are like, ooh, blue gold, which I don't think that's real for the record, but hey, whatever.
It was something shiny.
It was something shiny and he wanted it. And then so he like opens it and see, again, horror, man, as a kid especially, this part's scary too.
But that's what I was saying. I thought it was scarier, but I think it was the time. So it was I thought it was scarier than it actually was, but it was. You're in a tomb, it's dark.
Yeah. Mummies were jumping out at you a little bit. He like opens the scarab falls on the ground, and then it breaks open.
Yeah, I thought maybe because the sand like activated or something.
I don't know. Yeah, but so the bug actually pops out and then
crawls under his skin.
Yeah, and there's this whole scene of it starts in his foot, crawls up his leg, and you see like and he like rips open his shirt, and there's like this bulge.
Once again, immaculate CGI.
Yeah. See, the CGI there is pretty bad. Yeah. And then you see it like crawl up to his brain. And then when they find the mummy and they're like, oh, what the heck going on? You hear the warden just screaming and like runs right past them. Yeah. And then just head first.
And then there goes your comedy.
Because like, yeah, he died, but it's pretty funny how he died. He just like head first in the wall and just clunk. And I'm like, well. All right, there's the warden.
So Rick's team finds Imhotep. They open it or whatever, and it was like, "There's your jump scare a bit." And then they read. There's an inscription inside that says, "Death is only the beginning."
Yes. Yeah.
And
those carved with fingernails. He did this while he was still alive.
And then as they're opening Imhotep's, like you said, the Americans find his jars with his organs and the Book of the
Dead.
Dead.
Yeah, it should be the Book of the Dead. The Book of Life comes later. Yeah.
And then, but also as they are opening the Americans, Benny backs away.
Benny runs away.
And it was like this, which is very important because once again, it was like people that live there do believe in the curses.
Yeah.
And so the night falls, so everybody's like sitting out, and there's you get more interaction between Rick and Evie. I think did she read? No. Homeboy found the book. He had it.
Yeah, he had the book. Yeah.
The professor from the Americans. So they're drinking a bit, they're hanging out. I think there's a raid.
There's a raid by the guard.
By the guards once again, because they're protecting this land.
Another good action sequence. Rick ends it by literally like, I'll blow us all up. Rick has a piece of dynamite, and he's like, he lights it. And it's a great action sequence. He rolls, holds out dynamite to light the fuse, and then he and the leader guy, who's also doing the voiceover, I'm blanking on his name.
His name is Ardeth.
Ardeth. Yeah, Ardeth. Yeah, they like have a standoff, and Ardeth is like, "Holy crap, this man's crazy! He'll kill us all." He's like, "Oh, all right, back away here now." Rick O'Connell does not give up.
Smooth guy. He said, "I don't need to be here."
He's like, "Make my day."
Yeah. So yeah, the camp is raided.
Mm-hmm.
And then I think they talk, and they said, "You need to get off the land. You have a day."
Yeah, you have a day. Yeah.
And then the guards leave, and as people are sleeping, Evie, sorry, because I kept wanting to call her Edie for some reason, but Evie, she takes the Book of the Dead or whatever, because she notices like there's an insignia on the top, and it looks very much like this the key that she used. I think did she use to open?
She used the key to open the
Imhotep's. Yeah. So she was like, she recognizes it as a key. So she takes the book, opens it, and it was like there's mystery. Like as soon as she opens it, it was like
wind goes,
and then she starts reading from it, and it was like, as she's reading from it, it awakens Imhotep. And then also the professor wakes up and was like, don't read from the book.
Yeah. And so like which is funny because he believes enough of it to recognize the value. And he's like, well,
but still going.
Still going and still like, yes, I want this. But yeah.
And so like, I think there's another, like, people end up in the actual back end.
Because what happens, there's a plague of locusts.
Yes, that's what it is. Yeah. Because like we said, like they said, if he's awoken again, the plagues will.
Yeah, like the original plagues of Egypt. So locusts, firstborn child, dying. So like Christianity and Judaism, the Old Testament, ancient Egypt stuff. So all of those plagues.
Yes.
Frogs.
So like the locusts come.
Yeah. Frogs.
Just random frogs.
Frogs.
Plague shit. But like, so the locusts come, so people retreat into the back into the tomb. Yeah. What is it? Into the
pyramid tomb thing. Yeah.
And so Evie gets separated, and the Americans get separated. And it was just like, so
all the flesh-eating bugs come. Yeah. They're just eating the diggers.
Yeah. And so one of the Americans encounters, because it's on some Velma shit where he loses his glasses. I'm messing with my glasses.
Yeah. And of course, Benny like steps on him as the way, and I'm like, Benny, Benny.
And so one of the Americans encounters Imhotep.
Yep.
And he gets his eyes, and because the Americans are the ones and the Americans and the professor are the ones that took Imhotep's organs, or they opened that chest.
Yeah, they opened the chest.
So it's like now he's going and looking to retrieve these things.
Yeah, the organs, and then he'll like suck all the life out of the Americans, and each time he does, he'll get a little bit stronger. Yeah,
and so like he finds the first American, takes his eyes and his tongue.
We don't know what happens yet. It fades, and because this is a great reveal. All right, so it fades, and then you have,
and then Evie gets separated from Rick and her brother.
Yeah,
and she finds the American. It was obviously it's a dark tomb or whatever.
Yeah. And she's like, "Oh, thank God you're here. It's good." And then he like turns and like he has like eyeless sockets, and he's like,
It was very much like Jurassic Park when Samuel Jackson Laura Dern, his character, like his hand flops on her shoulder. She was like, "Oh, thank God."
But just like that.
So she encounters the American that got his eyes and tongue removed, and then she also encounters Imhotep.
Yep.
And I think he recognized, like,
he calls her an oxymoron.
Yes.
Yeah. But she looks nothing like an oxymoron. Just throwing that out there.
She's a pretty lady. I mean, it's been thousands of years. Yeah, he's just like, a woman? My lady? Rick, I think he shoots.
Yeah, Rick comes in, grabs Evie, and he's like, "Hey, cool." And then he looks and it's like,
he sees the mummy, shoots with a shotgun, and then they leave.
Yeah.
And then, I think most of the group leaves the tombs because the locusts have gone.
Yeah.
Then Benny encounters Imhotep, and he's like trying to.
Benny has every religious. He knows like prayers and has every religious symbol on his chest. So he has like the Christian cross.
I think it was like
Buddhism, Judaism, Islam. He has everything. And he sees the mummy. He's just like saying all the prayers that come to mind.
And right before he's gonna get killed, I don't know what he was saying, but he speaks Oh,
he was speaking Hebrew. Yeah,
it was like so he said you speak the tongue of the slaves.
The slaves, because he had the Star of David on his chest as well. And with the Star of David, when he spoke Hebrew, I don't know Hebrew, so I don't know the prayer. But the mummy was like, "Oh, the language of the slaves, you know this."
So it's like he now Benny is kind of his like familiar, like on some vampire shit.
For you riches.
And so the Americans and Rick's group, they all retreat to a hotel. They were like, "We're leaving,"
because the guards come.
Yeah,
the guards come and they're like, "Oh, you released the monster. We told you to leave.
Yes.
Why didn't you leave?" And now they're like, "Now we need to figure out a way to kill it." And they just go off.
And because Rick was like, "I shot him. I think we're good.
I shot him. We good." And it's like, you don't understand. And then they retreat to the hotel. And then the guards proceed to do nothing for the rest of the the ones who have been training their entire life. They've been training their entire life for this moment, and they just fail epically.
And so, they're packing. So at a hotel now, they're packing to leave. And you have different exchanges with like the Americans are a little, spooked because of the fact that one of their friends had his eyes and tongue removed.
Yes, for sure. I mean, I wouldn't be that spooked, but I mean, I get it. I get where they're coming from, I guess.
And so you have more exchanges between Rick and Eve, and it was like really funny. So Rick is trying to go, because he was like, "I've done my job. I took you to Hymenoptera. You saw your shit. Yeah. Now we got to go." So he's trying to pack his shit up, and as he's packing it, she's removing. Yeah. But I think it was like I said, I think they just had such great chemistry that it really showed. So
for sure.
And so as Rick and Evie are trying to leave, you get Imhotep and Benny visiting the guy who he started, to the guy who
the one missing his eyes and tongue.
Yeah. So he doesn't have his sight or anything. He can't really talk. So he was just like Benny.
Why did they trust Benny? They come back, they're like, "Benny, where you been? So glad you made it." He's like, "Oh, I met a prince. Yeah. You should meet this prince I know now." Like, Benny, you are so sketchy, man.
But yeah, so the Imhotep finishes draining the life of the first guy.
Yeah.
Which is, you're right. It's just why are you still trusting?
Yeah, why are you trusting Benny, man? It don't make sense.
And then I think as he does it, there's another kind of plague thing.
I think the blood turns to water.
Yes. Oh yeah, because they were drinking at the bar. Yeah. And all the liquor, the water, it all turns to blood.
Yeah.
And Rick notices this, and he's like, "Evie." Yeah. Because I think he recognized the fact that the mummy had a certain fixation.
Yes, for sure.
With her. So he goes to her room, and you see Imhotep was in her little, I guess, suite. And it was this is where you see this cool trick. It was just he couldn't open. I don't know why he didn't open the door.
Yeah, turn into sand, man. It's cooler. It's a lot cooler to turn into sand for sure.
So he turns to sand, and I think he's standing over her or whatever. And then Rick burst in and was I think Imhotep has a reaction to a cat.
Yeah, to a cat. The cat.
And it was because it was the cats were the guards to the underworld or something.
No, we're are, sir.
Cats are the guards. I didn't know they were still employed. That's my fault.
You get your Egypt mythology right, all right? They are the guards.
I haven't watched it a billion times. Only a billion, only half a billion.
Well,
okay, I'm getting there.
Issue,
So Imhotep retreats or whatever, and they're now they're really trying to get out of there.
Yeah, and I think he just kind of goes and hunts down the rest of the dudes.
Yeah. So so he takes out the other Americans in interesting ways. I was one was just kind of a sandstorm.
Yeah, one a sandstorm just bursts into the room and just sucks them dry. You're like, damn.
And then I think because he goes to find a professor too.
Yep.
And it was because he has the book or whatever. Because it was I think that's what he needed, right? One, he was trying to get his organs back.
Yeah.
To regain the life, and then he also needed the Book of the Dead.
Yep.
So that he can bring back
you do the ceremony for it.
And so, the professor was I got to get the fuck out of here.
Yeah.
So he leaves with a book. What's his name? Imhotep finds him.
Drains him dry. Jonathan and Rick, they go to the professor's room.
Yes.
Because they were also looking for the professor. And who do they find going through all the professor's stuff?
Benny.
Yeah. And it was
this is what, you get another exchange. It was just Rick finds out that Benny is working with Imhotep.
Did you come back from the desert with a new buddy, Benny? Yeah. And then just interrogates him, holds Benny up to apparently they have very deadly metal fans in Egypt.
Oh yeah. He's he holds him up to a fan, and I was just bro, it's a paper cut.
But that thing was apparently fans in Egypt are blades. All right. They say the blades of the fan, they mean blades. But yeah, so they go. The professor. Then that's when they find out the professor dies, and like the other American.
And then there's like one person left. Like one because there was 4 of them. So it was 3 Americans, a professor. There's one American left. I think now he's like so more plagues are happening as well. So it's just like I think he's taking over the mind of the people.
Yeah, they have like boils and pestilence going on, and like kind of taking over the mind. So then you have like all these people chanting Imhotep, Imhotep, walking through the streets.
So they corner the last American, and now Imhotep has he's got all his organs back. He's drained all the lives of the people who opened the box, and now he also has the book.
Yep, he has basically everything he needs.
But now he also needs Evie.
Yes.
And so, like, Rick,
Jonathan,
Evie, and also I feel like Ardeth. And
so that happened around the same time.
Yeah.
All this is going on. They then go to visit Evie's employer, the head of the Egyptian
because he also was working. And now you find out why he burned the map.
Yes.
So he's also he's working with the guards of Imhotep of Hamunaptra.
Yeah.
And it was like that's why he burned the map because he didn't want.
Yeah, well, it's very funny when you like watch the movie again when you know this happens. So you look at his eyes when he's trying to burn the map. He's just like. He does like a whole like you don't realize it with the first time
because it seemed like by accident initially.
It could have been by accident because then you have like Evie and Jonathan talking, so you're like, oh, I'm paying attention to that. Okay, he's looking at the map, whatever. So you don't see him like slyly do like one of those. It's like, oh my goodness, so it just gets on fire. But
so it's like so it's Evie's boss, Ardeth, and then the 3 of them trying to escape, and they find out a way to kill. Imhotep is like there's another book.
Yep, the Book of Life.
The Book of Life. Yeah, the Book of Life. And so like I think Evie goes with, or like she gets captured.
They go through. Then you have all the people chanting Imhotep, and they like kind of like wind up like kind of capturing them, and they make a trade. Evie's like, I'll go with you willingly, but you have to let them go free.
Yeah,
which that never works. Never. As a bad guy,
Hostage 101.
Yeah, I know, right? As a bad guy, I also wouldn't let that work either.
But so Evie goes with Imhotep to save her brother and Rick.
Yeah.
And she says like, oh, you need to find the Book of Life to save you.
Yeah, exactly.
And so I think, and this is where I was saying, like I was watching, I kind of fell asleep for it. Not because it was a horrible film. I was
you've seen it a bunch.
I was tired. It was 3 o'clock in the morning. What do you want?
Yeah. So with this, Evie's employer sacrifices himself.
Yes.
He's slicing at people.
So they can
escape down to the sewers.
And so now they need to get back to, because like we said, initially they were at Hamunaptra. They left to a hotel like in a village.
Yeah.
So now
Cairo.
Cairo. So they need to get back to Hamunaptra to find the book and save Evie. So they hire a pilot who they had met.
They knew the pilot ahead of time because the pilot was fought
at the bar. But he was at the bar when they found out.
He's part of the Majesty's Royal Air Force. So he's like a pilot that fought in World War I, and now he's just stationed in Egypt. And the entire time, whenever you see him earlier, he's just wishing he would have died like all of his buddies in World War I. And he's like, I need some honor in life. Something exciting.
Foreshadowing?
Yeah, a little bit. Yeah.
But so the pilot flies them back to Hamunaptra, and as he's flying them back, you see that Evie, Benny, and Imhotep have also arrived at Hamunaptra, and they're like, I think he recognizes that they're coming to save her. Yeah. So this is another one of those.
Could have just been a random plane.
But it's another cool shot where like Imhotep, like now that he's fully formed, he has all his power. So he like uses his powers like to create a sandstorm.
Yeah, to create this huge sandstorm. He even has like his mouth going through it.
It was like you see his face in the sand.
Yeah,
I think that it was on one of the posters. Was like really cool. I think they showed that.
There's the plane. If you can see right there, the little plane. That's the one they took. Yeah.
And so like the plane crashes, but the Rick and Jonathan
and
get
Ardeth.
And
Ardeth is with him too.
Really?
Yeah, Ardeth is with him too.
Big ass plane.
Yeah, it was. Well, he was like kind of like
it's not Spirit Airlines.
He was like strapped into the end.
It's a commercial flight.
But again, with the comedy, like Ardeth, this is before the crash. Ardeth, you good? And he's just all like happy. He's on a plane. He looks all excited. The plane goes down. The pilot dies.
Yes, and it like they land in quicksand. It was the funniest thing I saw was a meme. It was just like, I don't know why I thought quicksand was going to be more of a problem.
Yeah, quicksand and piranhas. You really think that's
like as a kid? I thought it was like, what's going to take me out?
Quicksand. It's gotta be that. That's the only thing that can get me. I can
God
just
damn
walk
it,
into school.
Hollywood.
Yeah, just walk into school, quicksand. Happens more than you think.
Oh, you thought you were gonna get me. The old quicksand in the corner trick.
Fun fact too, quicksand doesn't really work like
It
that.
does not.
It does not work like that.
It's not a sinking pit. Like it has a bottom.
Yeah.
Anyway, so like now you have all parties. You have Rick, Jonathan, Ardeth, Ad Hominatra, and I think Imhotep has resurrected his guards.
Yeah, he's resurrected like his priest and guards.
Yeah, his priest. That's what it was. Yes.
Mm-hmm.
And now he's starting the ritual to bring back Anaximandrine.
So another action sequence going down. You know, all the mummified guards or priests are now attacking the three of them. Ardeth sacrifices himself.
No, he doesn't.
Yeah, no, technically he does. We don't know he's alive yet.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so he sacrifices himself because he takes the dynamite and he got the machine gun off the plane and he's just shooting down the guards and
so so you have Imhotep doing the ritual. So he has like two, I guess, laying. What's she laying on? What would you call that?
A slab.
Yeah. So there's two slabs. You have Evie on one and Anaximandrine's
maybe an altar.
Altar
slab. Yeah.
So you have two altars. Evie on one, Anaximandrine's mummified body on another, and it was like Imhotep is trying to start the ritual. So he has his guards like kind of keeping everybody out. So that's where you have Rick, Jonathan, and Ardeth fighting the guards
to get in.
And it was like also Jonathan finds the Book of Life.
Book of Life, yep.
Because he was like trying to think where it is. It was just like, so if the Book of Death was with his Imhotep's remains, his organs, then the Book of Life is probably in his sarcophagus.
Yeah.
So they find the book. They can't open it because they need the key.
Yep.
And which is on Imhotep has it.
Yeah, Imhotep has it. Yeah.
So it's just like you need to find the key, open the book, and read from it.
Yeah.
And so like this is this action sequence where like you have Rick Ardeth fighting off the guards.
Yeah. Well, Ardeth is now gone, and then Jonathan and Rick make it into the tomb.
Yes.
We don't see Ardeth anymore because we think he sacrificed himself. Then spoiler, Mike. So they're all fighting. And
the movie was in 1999. It's like spoiling The Sixth Sense.
I mean, this is the spoiler, part. The Sixth Sense was spoiled for me. Unfortunately, I knew he was dead going into that movie. That was such a bummer. Anyway. But it's just because I'm really smart.
It's like Fight Club.
Actually, Fight Club was not spoiled for me.
But it was just like watching it again.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
But sorry.
Anyway,
focus. So I think Jonathan he has the book. He needs the key. It was like, you need to get it off Imhotep.
Yeah.
And Jonathan has an exchange with Imhotep where because once again, the same way he got it off Rick, I assume.
Yeah, Jonathan's really good.
It was like sleight of hand. So he snatches the key off of Imhotep, opens the book.
Which just goes to show you, by the way, when you're a bad guy, stop just throwing people.
I think that's what
we talked about that earlier. With every bad guy,
every bad guy was just like, I could kill you. You know what? I'm gonna whisk you away from me. You get out of here
over there instead. Yeah.
So Jonathan opens the Book of Life, and now he has to read from it. And it was like you get more comedy because it's an action sequence. So you have now. I think Rick and Ardeth defeated. Before Ardeth, sacrificed himself, they defeated his priest.
Yes. So
now the guards,
like the high guards of the pharaoh,
now the guards are attacking Rick. So you get more comedy where like, Jonathan is trying to read from the book, but he can't read, like, I guess, what is it, Egyptian?
A crane. Yeah, he knows most ancient Egyptian, but not all of it. So there's a crane or a stork, and he doesn't know what that is.
So he's like trying to act it out for her, like it's fucking charade.
Meanwhile, like Evie's getting chased by an Anaximandrine.
Yeah, so the ritual is going on. It was like, so she's been resurrected. Anaximandrine has been resurrected, but now he needs to finish the ritual for Anaximandrine's like a spirit or soul to go into Evie.
Oh, well, I think she's trying to I guess so kill Evie because she's like swinging a sword.
So it's just like you have Rick fighting off the guards, Evie fighting off Anaximandrine, and Jonathan trying to read from the book. So it's just like it's so much going on. It's like so great.
Yeah.
So finally, Jonathan reads from the books, and he reads from the book to first control the guards because like they were about to kill Rick.
Rick's about to die. Yeah.
And so he commands the guards to kill Anaximandrine.
Yeah.
So like now she's dead. And then he also reads again. Oh no! Now Evie has it because now that Anaximandrine is dead, she doesn't have to fight her anymore. She reads from the book, and she strips Imhotep of his power,
immortality and power. Yeah,
and so because it was just like Rick was like, I thought you were gonna kill him. So because it was Imhotep, he gets hit with like there's like a spirit that comes through or something like that.
Chariot or something.
And it was just like he's still alive, so he doesn't think anything of it. So he's marching at Rick, and Rick is like, I thought you were gonna kill him. Yeah. And then as Imhotep comes up to Rick, he stabs him.
Yep.
And it was like, I didn't kill him, but I made him mortal.
Yep. Yeah.
So because Imhotep was moving towards Rick, he was like, you can't kill me.
He was like, I don't care, stab me, go for it.
And so he stabs him, and now Imhotep falls into like I guess a pool or something.
A pool of souls.
Yeah, a pool of souls. And it was just like you see him kind of deteriorate and stuff like that. And he says something again, or I guess sequel baity, or just but he said, death is only the beginning. The same thing he had written in his tomb.
There's a way for him to come back.
And then, I forgot to say, so all while the action is happening during the ritual, you have Benny stealing gold from the pyramids. I forgot about that. And so as he's once again, enough is never enough for Benny for some reason. Yeah. So like he like kind of sets down because his hands are full of gold and stuff like that. He triggers something. That triggers a trap that set like now the whole tomb is going to
the self-destruct button. Yeah, because everyone knows ancient Egyptian tombs have
top 3 things I thought I was going to die from. One, quicksand.
Quicksand for sure.
Self-destruct button.
For sure. Every building has a self-destruct button somewhere. Look it up. If you don't see it, that's all right.
So now there's more urgency to get out of the tomb. And so you see like Evie, Jonathan, and Rick trying to get out. And this was another interesting thing was like they encounter Benny again. Yeah. And Benny has been nothing but an asshole to Rick, but he still tries to help him.
Was like,
so it's like as the cave is collapsing.
He's a good guy.
The cave is collapsing, and like the sand is pouring in. Doors are closing, and Rick still tries to help Benny get out. Yeah. But Benny gets trapped in the in the treasure room. Yeah. And like he has a what is it? A lantern of some sort, and you see all of the scarabs.
The scarabs. Yeah, the scarabs like
so flesh-eating scarabs come around him, but they're afraid of the light. But slowly the light dies, and Benny. It's all dark, but you just hear them, I guess, like tearing him apart.
Yeah, tearing him apart. Poor Benny. Yeah. What a dick for the entire movie. That's a terrible way to go. In the dark, eaten slowly by bugs.
And so Rick, Evie, Jonathan make it out. And
they finally have their kiss because it's like they're all like, "Oh, we didn't even have any treasure, or didn't bring anything back." And Rick's like, "I brought something back."
That's what I noted. It was just like that's what pissed me off about it. Was Jonathan and Benny was like the greed. Yeah, it was like, bro, this place is collapsing. Yeah. Focus on your life. Right. Jonathan was like, they're in the gold room, and he was like, "Can we not grab something?"
Yeah, no, he tried that too.
And I was like, "Are you serious?
You're gonna die, man. You're gonna die." Yeah. So that Rick and Evie finally have their big kiss. Very nice. And then we find out Ardeth is actually still alive because Ardeth like puts his hand on one last little jump scare. Yeah. Of like Ardeth puts his hand on one of the you think Evie.
He was like, "No, I thought y'all was good." So I waited outside.
Yeah, I waited outside. I thought you could handle it. It's fine. Again, showing like the Pharaoh's guards who had preparations for the mummy for thousands of years did nothing. All right. And then they go off. But when they go off, Jonathan's still butthurt that they didn't actually see have any gold on them. But in the saddlebags of all the camels is all the treasure that
Benny was the story.
Yeah. And that is the movie. Yeah. So something we always like to do at the end is ask, did your opinion change a bit? So Mike, did your opinion of this movie change?
I will bump it up to a 4.5.
Wow. Okay.
I will. I think as just once again, it's fun. The actors those were great. It was just like they kept you going. It was like like I said, it was 2 hours, but it seemed like more like an hour 45, or an hour and a half. Yeah, because it was just so fast paced. And it's something you can watch over and over again. So yeah, I'm bumping it up to a 4.5.
Nice. I'm going to stick with my 5 because I can't go higher. I like 5.5. I'm going to bump it up 5.5 out of 5.
You broke the scale.
Yeah, I gave it extra credit. I used to be a teacher. I could do that. But yeah, no, I love this movie, and it's so fast paced, but you don't miss things in the story. It's like
because even like you were saying, like when the Evie's boss turns out to be one of the guards, it was just like you noticed it. And then you see it again, and it was just like, oh, that makes all of the sense. It wasn't like, it was like, who the fuck is that?
Yeah. It's just everything goes, and it doesn't feel rushed or too fast while you have it. It's fun. It is a classic kind of blockbuster movie, and I think it really does have a high impact on like movies that have come since, of having like that hero, and obviously you've had the hero for years, but like this was a true blockbuster style flick. So I love this movie. I think it's great. Thank you, everyone, so much for joining in with us for the 1999 The Mummy. Don't watch the one with Tom Cruise. Just don't worry about it. Yeah, don't do it.
Kill the franchise.
Yeah, I know, right? I'm sure he's very nice in a lot of ways. I'm not a big fan of Tom
Top Gun
Cruise.
was amazing.
Yeah, exactly. Anyway, if you would like to reach out to us, our @ is the Two Meddling Kids. So Two Meddling Kids on Twitter, Instagram. Mike, how can they reach out to you?
Days from Legendary on Instagram.
Excellent. Oh, and also our email is twomeddlingkids@gmail.com. So feel free to shoot us an email on that if you'd like. But hey, hit us up on Twitter or Instagram. We'd love to hear back from you all. If you have any movies you want us to recommend we do, we'd love to hear that too. And if you'd like to reach out to me personally, I am at EdHunt77 on Twitter and Instagram. Love to hear from you. See y'all next week. Have a new one coming.